Okay, people, if you guys are fans of standards, you might as well click this video off, because y'all gonna get upset, because I got some things to talk about. Because you already know what time it is. Tips it out. People been talking greasy about zero turns, bro, and it's crazy to me, bro. I don't understand how people love standards more than zero turns. Now, I will admit, back in the day, I wanted a standard, but that was before I got a commercial zero turn, bro. A standard is no competition to a zero turn, bro. I'm team zero turn forever, and I will argue with anybody, bro. I'm about to bring up some good points. Shout out to my man Naylor, the lawn care rookie, for making a video last year, I believe, talking about why he prefers standards, right? And like I said in my last Tipsy Talk, standards, no offense to people, but standards are for pretty boys. Yeah, I said it, pretty boy. Ooh, I'm a pretty boy. I like to stand on the stander. Ooh. And the reason I say that, bro, I got some good points. Right? So one point that Naylor made in his video of why he likes standards is quickness of trying to get off of the standard, right? He said that when you're cutting grass on like an embankment that's by water, right, and the mower starts to slip, if you're on a stander, you can jump off. People who are on standards are pretty boys. People who drive zero turns are men. And the reason I say that is that, you know, if somebody who drives a standard, they're like, oh my gosh, my mower's going into the water, I'm gonna jump off and save myself. But a person that's on a zero turn, they're a real captain. They're gonna go down with their ship. You get what I'm saying? They're real men. If their ship goes down, they go down. They're not gonna jump off, you know. Jump off. If my mower's going in the drink, I'm going in the drink. You get what I'm saying? Another thing Naylor talked about, if you're cutting and you got a low branch or something like that, you know, on standards you could duck behind it. Here's like, oh, you know, you can get low and you can duck behind your mower and go under the branch. But he's like, on zero turns, you can't duck. You only can get but so low because you're sitting on the seat. That's another proof that people who drive zero turns are real men. You know why? Because people who are riding standards, they like to hide. And you gonna hide behind their mower and close their eyes like this. Oh my gosh, it's a branch. Ah. But people who drive zero turns, we're gonna take a branch to the chest. Because we real men. Remember that. But yeah, in all seriousness, which those were serious points. I mean, it's so many things. I have one killer point, and I'm gonna save that for the end of why zero turns are better than standards. Because man, I used to be a big fan. Like I said, I used to want a standard, but I started finding out more information about it and why it wouldn't really fit my setup. It might fit your setup, like I said. And the reason why I say pretty boys, I don't mean like pretty boys you like to stay clean and whatnot. What I mean is pretty boys by the type of yards you like to cut. If you have all clean, manicured yards, you don't got yards with like, you know, you know, hit a lot of, a lot of terrain and it's all flat, you can use standards. You know, they're good. And people might say, oh, standards are better for hills, but it just, standards is just so uncomfortable. I'm gonna say, last year I demoed with Toro. I demoed the stand-on aerator, and my biggest thing I didn't like about that was the fact that I was on the aerator. If you get what I'm saying, like you know, if I'm on the aerator, stand-on aerator, and I'm going over something nice and smooth and soft, it was great, you know. But when I went over some tough ground that was hard, I'm just like, oh, you know what I mean? I'm like, man, how can somebody do this all day, bro? No, you know. And it's the same thing with mowing. My thing is, everything you cut, everything you mow is not going to be perfectly smooth. It's not going to be perfectly good. So for me to be standing up, going across bumpy ground or hitting a bump and oh, you know what I mean? I can't do that all day. Now, I know some people that do it for like medical reasons. Some people say they don't like zero turns because it's bad for their back. You know, the bumping sitting down is bad for their back, and standing up is better for them. I had a guy that used to cut grass across the street from one of my yards. He had 2 standards. He said that same thing. He's like, yeah, I switched to standards because it's better for my back. My thing is, at this point in my life, maybe I'll get to that point one day, but at this point in my life, my back is fine. And so, knock on wood. So I'm not going to take that into consideration. Maybe one day I'll change my tune because I got to use standards. But at this point, the thing I hate about standards, bro, is like you have to use more muscles. And I know you might say, oh, I thought you said people use standards are pretty boys and whatnot. Yeah, I said that, but my thing is, when you're on a stander, you're standing up. You gotta use your leg muscles. You gotta use your back muscles to keep your balance. You gotta use your arm muscles to kind of keep your balance as well, because if you hit a bump or something, you don't want to fall off. And with all that, I'm not gonna be doing that all day long, bro. It's like, I don't understand how y'all just stand up and balance. My thing is, sitting on a zero turn, I'm at a solid foundation. You get what I'm saying? I don't got to worry about balancing myself. I don't got to worry about falling off my zero turn. I even got the seatbelt. You know what I mean? I don't use the seatbelt all the time. But if I want, I got a seatbelt. I can put the seatbelt on. I got a roll bar. You know? I'm not worried about falling off. The only muscles I gotta use is my arms. Just like this, back and forth, and I can cut all day. My thing is, if you have a commercial business and you want to cut all day long, you want to use minimum amount of muscles as possible, right? Like, you don't want to be. So let's think about this. You're using a standard. You use your legs, your calves, your back, your shoulders, your arms, your abs, everything, all day long, every day. You're gonna be wore out by the time you get to at the end of the day, right? And so that's my biggest thing. Whenever I try to use a zero turn, it's like, maybe because I'm not used to using it, and now that I'm getting one for a demo, I'll feel differently. But I feel like, dang, I'm gonna be using all these muscles and trying to worry about balancing all day versus just cutting. You know what I mean? Plus, another thing is, a zero turn is just like a tank, bro. It's just like a tank, bro. It's like, I feel like I could take my zero turn into anything. I'm thinking about, this customer asked me about cutting this thick brush I saw in the other video. I'm thinking about using it for that. But the most important important reason why the zero turn can't touch. Why the standard can't touch the zero turn is the toe behind attachments, bro. That's the main reason, one of the main reasons I love zero turns, bro. Having the ability to tow things, like I said with the aerator, I'm on a stand-on aerator, and every time I go over something bumpy, blah, 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 blah. When I got my toe behind aerator, bro, I throw some cinder blocks on that bad boy, and anytime I go over some rough stuff, I don't feel it. My aerator feels it behind me, but I'm cruising. You know what I mean? I'm cruising. I go slower so I can try to puncture some of that hard soil, but I'm cruising. You know, I got my toe behind spreader. You know, I got my toe behind dethatcher. You know, I got my toe behind dump trailer. I got everything, bro. You can't do that with a standard. A standard is basically an overpowered walk behind. It really is. It's an overpowered walk behind, because I will forever only use, probably, unless this standard demo completely changes my mind, I will probably forever only use walk behinds and zero turns. The reason why, see, I got my walk behind. My walk behind has a 14.5 horsepower motor, right? Which is not that heavy. People have to remember, the more horsepower a motor is, the heavier it is. And so my walk behind is probably like 500 pounds at the most. It's probably less than that. I'm rounding it up. 500 pounds at the most. And so when it's rainy outside, I can use that. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about getting one day getting a second walk behind with no mulching kit. I love my mulching kit because I can mulch up stuff. I'm thinking about getting a second walk behind with no mulching kit, so when it's rainy, it's muddy, and I still need to cut, I'll just walk behind it, because it's not my extra weight standing on it. I'm walking behind it and still controlling it. And I know what you're saying, is with a standard, you say, oh, well, I could flip the deck up and I could walk behind the standard. Yeah, but guess what? That standard has a 22, 24 horsepower motor on it. Just the same size as a zero turn. It's the same size as a zero turn. And so it's just as heavy as a zero turn. And so if you want to say, well, I want to use my standard as a walk behind in these wet, muddy conditions, you won't be able to, because it's basically just like walking behind a zero turn. It's still heavy. You know what I mean? So the only place where the walk behind functions of a standard comes into place maybe on a hill, but at the same time it's still heavy like a zero turn. And with that weight, it's more likely to slide than it would be with a walk behind. So my thing is, I don't see why it's not feasible just to get a walk behind in a zero turn. You know what I mean? What somebody did was they tried to merge both of those things together. They tried to make a marriage between a walk behind and a zero turn. And I mean, it's good for regular conditions, but sometimes you just need both. You need a zero turn, and you need a walk behind sometimes in some situations. So anyway, that's my opinion. You know, you can like it, you can not like it, but yeah. Thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe, stay tuned. Yes, sir.